Hey guys, how's it going? Beast here. So first things first, I'm apologizing that I have not been uploading as regularly as I should have. I was uploading a lot for a while, and I haven't for a while, like 5 days. And I'm sorry for that. There's a couple reasons for that. Sort of the main one is just, you know, not that you guys really care, but the amount of work that it is to record and edit and upload a video every single day. It's a couple hours every day, and it does get pretty taxing after a while while working. So that was the main reason. I've been really tired recently. I was not getting good sleep. But the second reason is PUBG. I have this on my PC, and I kind of thought in my mind that when I bought a PC, I'd kind of stop playing on the console, which is where the majority of my content comes from. But I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought, there's no way. Like, I like playing games too much on the console. But I knew, this game here, and now this is from my PC, by the way. This is captured from my PC, maximum bit rate. At 4K, this is about as good as it can look, and it does look pretty good. I run a mix of it was usually medium settings at 4K because this game's notoriously hard to run. So I usually run a mix of medium settings. Well, I was doing all medium settings for a while in this game, and then I was trying to get myself to be able to do the high textures so it would look a little bit better. And ultimately high shadows, which a friend recommended. And so I've been doing some tweaking and trying to get that working. But wasn't able to quite get it where I wanted it, and I ended up dropping the shadows back down to medium. And I dropped the foliage down too, like the trees and stuff, because that's not as important. But however, the game just went to a regular game. So it left early access. I believe it was the 22nd or the 21st. I can't remember, one of those 2 days. And it actually left early access. So it's no longer an early access game. They wiped all the leaderboards, and the patch or the version number is version 1.0. So this is a full-fledged game now. It's not just a early access game. And so with that, they added in all this new stuff, including the map that I'm playing on right now, which is the new map, the desert map. And so I've been playing now. I'm stopping here because I thought I heard a guy. I'm just kind of looting, but I thought I heard a guy, and I don't know. I'm sure I did earlier, so he might have just left. That's possible. Sometimes people do that. If they see another guy near them, they'll leave. When I was first playing and unexperienced, I would go after and try to punch people and stuff, or try to pick up a gun and kill them real quick. But then I realized, a lot of times you can just sort of let them be for a minute until you get something better. But a lot of times you die, too, so there's, it's all over the place. But that being said, with the new update, my frames per second, which you can actually see in the top left corner, I play with that counter on all the time. It's through Steam, and it's a frame counter. And I was always hitting right around 60 frames, and then sometimes when I got in big cities and stuff, it would drop to like 55. So that's why I was trying to mess with my settings, because I wanted to keep it right there, or get 60 all the time if possible, but I didn't want to drop down too low as far as settings are concerned. So there's a first aid kit I'm going to pick up here. So on the first game that I played after the patch, I got on one of the first games, and I was up to 90 frames per second, which is absolutely incredible. That's a 50% gain over what I was getting, which was 60. And so that's just flat out ridiculous. And I thought I saw his head up here. It turns out it's just that tombstone on the left, but I thought it was a head. So if you see right now on my mini-map in the bottom right, I am now in a red zone, which means I'm about to get bombed. So it's pretty loud. I actually had to adjust the audio slightly because it peaked out pretty high. So just imagine as loud as it's going to be for you guys, especially like headphone users, it's even louder in-game. Now, generally, you don't want to be in a red zone, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to loot. I don't even really care at this point. So normally you die, so you can hear the rumbles coming in. Normally you die. Well, I mean, if you get hit by a bomb, you do die. But, you know, I've been stuck in a couple of them where you try to run out and you generally don't get hit. So I just was like, you know what, I don't even care. I'm just trying to YOLO this. I don't want to be, I don't want to be playing it safe. You see how loud that is? It's ridiculous. So I'm just sort of looting all these. So 90 frames on my first game, which means I was able to tune out the settings. So this textures and shadows and anti-aliasing, which is what makes the edges smooth and they don't give you like the jagged edges and stuff, are all on high. So this game, this is, there are people who run it ultra and stuff, but they're not running at 4K. So in my opinion, at 4K with the high textures and high anti-aliasing, I think it looks great, honestly. And as you can see in the corner, I'm right at 60 frames. I'm at 62 frames. And this was my sweet spot where I was able to turn up. Because I was hitting 90 frames, that actually causes a unique issue, screen tearing, which is basically where the screen vertically gets split into like 6 or 7 lines, and they all are jumbled and are all moving at different paces. As you swirl left and right with the mouse, all the lines like crisscross, and they like the top of the screen moves faster than the next line down, and so forth. It looks horrendous. And so, and that's because there's too many frames that are being generated. So the monitor's just pulling a frame whenever it's ready to pull one, and the computer is, producing 90 frames when the screen can only show me 60 frames. So, it's very interesting. So anyway, so I cranked up a couple of the settings. So just that one update alone optimized the game enough to give me 50% more frames, and I was able to crank up the settings. So this is the maximum bitrate I can record at 4K. So, unless I went to like some sort of internal, 4K capture of some kind, this is about as good as I can make this game look for you guys. And it does look beautiful. But this game has just been, I was researching PCs for like a full year probably, and see, look, I'm in another red zone here, so it's about to get loud here again in a second. The red zone's supposed to move around the map, but me and my friend who I was playing with were not in this game. This is just a solo game, but we were deciding that we think there's some sort of glitch with the red zone, because it shouldn't be in the same area all the time, and this will be my second red zone, and before that's over, there's a third red zone that ends up in this exact same place. So it's really messed up. But, yeah, I like the red zones, though. They add another layer of strategy to the game where, let's say the zone's moving and you're, like, really close to dying and you're going to take a bunch of damage. The zone, and you're just trying to drive straight into the zone, then this thing, sometimes I'll throw a monkey wrench into that, and you'll have to actually stop and go around. Or just, hope and just drive through it and just cross your fingers sort of thing. But this game is so much fun. I researched a PC for probably a year. And I just, I had the money to do it. But I didn't really, for whatever reason, I wasn't super motivated to do it. And initially what really got me aiming in this direction, I'm just stopping here to equip some items. So what initially got me going in the right direction was watching Noah J456 play this game with a couple other people and stream it, and that just made me so excited to play it. And I didn't really know what it was before that, but so I'd already been researching PCs for 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, and then Noah J started playing this game, and I think that's when it came out earlier this year, and I fell in love with it. And this game pushed me to buy the PC because, like I said, I had the money and I was ready to do it, but I didn't have that push, and this game was that push that put me over the top. And I've heard that story from other people also, is that they built a PC specifically to play this, and this was my first PC, so it was super. See, like, I'm in another red zone. So, yeah, this game is absolutely incredible. I've played it probably about 20 to 30 hours previous to this week, and it was sort of like fun and really fun, but I just wasn't as good. Man, I hope you can even hear me over this. But for me, it wasn't as fun because I've never played on a computer before, so trying to move around with the keys is really weird, and trying to aim is just way off compared to the console. And so I got on the console and played this, and it felt immediately right at home. I was like, oh, this is so much better. Like, I can actually aim, and I actually can move in a way that makes sense to me. But this week, The main reason I haven't uploaded, I mean, like I said, it is work, and I know you guys don't care about that. You just want to see content, and that's why I said I'm sorry. You know, but it's on my end. I mean, I have to be able to sleep and eat and take care of other things, on top of, you know, and obviously have a roof to live under before I can do that kind of stuff. And so the time has been really too short. But this week specifically has just been like a break. It's a little bit of a mini vacation, and I think I've played 20 hours of this game in like 4 days, which is way more than I was playing it before. And a couple nights we played for 6 hours or more in a single sitting, and it's just the amount of practice I've gotten and all that kind of stuff is so much that I can actually, what you'll see here when I get in a gunfight here in a few minutes is actually some legitimate, actual good shooting on my part, and some of the best shooting that I've had. Now I just played this game like, you know, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. So, I mean, this is the most recent game I played. And I was actually kind of impressed with how well I was able to get the kill. And I'm just going to track this plane here because these planes drop care packages, and I was hoping he would drop it somewhere near me, but he did not. So, you know, it's just all about practice. I mean, you know, when you first get on a console game, I mean, I specifically remember Call of Duty, you know, which is what my channel is kind of around recently, and also Forza, both the two games that are my two favorite games. Both those games took me, you know, probably near 100 hours before I was able to be even remotely competitive. And that's already having played on a console for years before that. I mean, by the time I played Forza, I'd already been playing on the console for like 3 years. By the time I played Call of Duty, it had already been, well, it had been a couple years, I guess, by the time I had Call of Duty. But those games took me a long time to get the hang of. So, considering that I've never played on the PC before, and I only have about 50 hours in this game on the PC, I'm excited that I'm actually able to start getting kills, and I feel like the ball's going to start rolling soon because I'm actually able to get stuff and actually be able to shoot, because it's hard to, the controls I'm starting to get down, moving, looting, picking up stuff, pulling up the map, setting waypoints. You'll see me unequip my weapon when I'm running sometimes. You'll see me doing this kind of stuff, putting attachments on there, just, you know, making moves that seem right to me, and just, you know, doing stuff that's quick and efficient, but my aiming is still way off, just way off, and it's just not up to snuff at all. In fact, it's just downright terrible. And so I'm starting to get there. What I did last night was I just dropped into the most populated areas. I'm a cautious person by nature, so for me it makes more sense to drop into like a lesser area, you know, kind of like I did here. I mean, I thought there was someone with me at the graveyard, but as you see, I mean, I've been playing this game for, you know, like 12 and a half minutes now, and I've yet to encounter another person, which, you know, it was fun for me initially. And when I got in the top 10, like once, I was like, dude, or top 15, I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is such a fun game. But what I realized is my main problem is aiming. And so if I go and loot for 25 minutes and then I just get in one gun battle right at the end and I lose, that doesn't help me at all gain any aiming, or it doesn't help me in like high stress situations, because it's basically low stress the whole time where you're just looting and moving around. But that being said, looting and having all this time to move around and stuff has gotten me familiar with the movements. You see me, I was actually trying to go under there, and I was hitting the button for crouch, not to lay down. So I was like, man, I'm such a noob. And crawl out under that. So, you know, it's helped me to learn how to move and to move around and stuff. And I was just checking that out because I just bought Cuphead, actually. Also about half an hour ago, maybe an hour ago. And that's downloading. So I just saw that, and that reminded me of that 1930s artwork. And so then I just was like, you know what? I'm kind of getting the movement down a little bit, and I've got the logistical part of it down. I know how to play the game. And I know what I'm looking for when I'm looting. I know how to loot, know how to move around, know how to check buildings, all that kind of stuff. But the aiming is still not up to par. So I just decided I was going to drop into the most busy, populated areas I possibly could, and just YOLO it every single game. And so that's exactly what I did for several, like 4 or 5 hours last night. And it helped so tremendously, because you basically get in gunfights immediately, and it's high stress because if you drop and there's 4 or 5 other people that dropped at the same place with you, if you didn't hit the ground first of all, it helps you perfect your jumping, because there's a good strategy to like jump and get to the ground as fast as possible so you can be the first one down. And then also, it's high stress because you see all these other guys around you, and it's like a race to get a gun. And so within, 30 seconds of your feet touching the ground, if you don't have a gun, you're in trouble. And so it's very... And here you find the M416, which is... I really love that gun. Really love it a lot. My buddy that I played with from work, he loves that gun. And I was like, it's okay. I prefer the M16. But after using it for a little while, it's... Oh, man, I like it. I think I like it better than the M16. But we'll have to wait and see on that to be determined. But it's just I practiced so much, and I basically probably got more interactions and more gun shooting and stuff. Because that's the other thing, when you play on a console, I've used this analogy so many times for people. And here you're going to see me start to get in a gun battle here. So I'll this analogy I've used before is there's people who use the inverted look axis. So there's certain people who want it so that when they press up on the thumbstick, now this is on like an Xbox, when they press up on the thumbstick, they want the character to look down. And when they press down on the thumbstick, they want the character to look up. And there's the van I heard. And look, he flipped it. So I was like, alright, here we go. So here it goes. And I actually hit my first shot. As you saw, there was a little bit of blood spatter there coming off of that. So I actually hit my first shot, and then... Like, just that aiming right there, never would have been able to do that, even just, like, last week, or even a few days ago. So here, I'm trying to toggle back out of this. I didn't realize that it was a ridge there, so I see that he was there. So the analogy is, if you use that look inversion, I've done it a couple times just to sort of, like, mess around, and I thought he was coming to my right over there. I was like, dude, he's pushing me. Because you do, that's one strategy. If you get someone like this pinned behind cover, you can push him, and sometimes he can't get out, but I saw him there again. And I considered leaning, and I thought I hit him there, but I did not. So he's got me pretty damaged here, and I didn't really realize that. I knew I was in the gunfight, but then I heard him driving again. I was like, okay, here he comes. He's coming to the right, and he ends up coming to my left. And I hit him a second time. Just barely. Got him. Look at my health down at the bottom. It's so low. So I immediately go and first aid. And then my next thought was, okay, I'm pushing over and I'm going to loot this guy. I'm going to see what he had. Wonder if he had anything good. And so I'm looking on the hills just to make sure there's nothing, because I just made a bunch of ruckus. It was real quiet over here, and then I just fired a bunch of shots. So undoubtedly someone's trying to shoot me. And I don't know where this guy's shooting from. One of the problems I have with this game is the audio. The directional audio is nowhere near as good as other games I've played. And so it's extremely hard for me to tell where shots are coming from. And, it's not necessarily the headphones that I'm playing on, which are different than what I use on the console, because I've played on the console with my nice set of Dolby headphones that I've had for, I guess, probably like 6 years now. And it's the same. I can't tell where it's coming from. So I thought he was right there. But, I mean, even that, like, leaning, ridiculous. That's like... I couldn't even shoot the gun anywhere in the even close vicinity of a guy, even who was 20 feet in front of me. So for me to be hiding behind this cover, leaning, trying to shoot a guy at a couple hundred yards up on a hill like that, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like, definitely got some confidence in playing it. So, real quick, get back to the analogy. The analogy would be if you played with the look inversion on your stick, where you looked up, you press the stick up and your character looks down, and if you press it down, he looks up. You could probably play like that. And you could, if you thought about it really hard while you were playing, you could probably make it work. But as soon as you got in a gunfight and your heart goes, ugh, and you jump a little bit, you'd mess up immediately. And you'd be like, and you'd look straight up at the ceiling. See, so those sounds like they're coming from my right. But there's also building to my right, so it's possible that it's echoing. And that's why I'm looking over there, and I saw that guy. I was like, okay. And I decided to take a few shots at him. I mean, he's real far. And I'm trying to aim up so because there is bullet drop. But, yeah, so, I mean, you could do that. And that's the problem for me is, like, I can play the game. And I can aim okay. But as soon as I get in any sort of gunfight, like, as soon as I'm in a fight with a gun, immediately I clench up a little bit. And then that's when I make terrible mistakes. Like, I'll hit the wrong key, or I'll forget to move, or I'll forget to reload. And you see me do that later in the next gunfight that I get into. You see me forget to reload. But... It's one of those things where, like, when I get in a high-stress situation, that's when I mess up. And you just saw me look at the zone there. The zone's coming in on me, and I see I have less than a minute, so I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta run. And I spent way too long in that gunfight. and I should have not done that. And, yeah, so now this guy's shooting at me. I think he's shooting from the left. That's what it sounds like. I can tell by where the bullets are, but again, the bullet echo is like on the right, so he shoots, and it hits the thing on my right, which is fine. That makes me think he's coming from the left, but then I hear the shot off to my right. So I'm not sure if it's just an echo or what. I don't really know how it works, but it's really, really pronounced and noticeable. Coming from someone who's played games like Call of Duty for all these years and has really good directional audio and using a Dolby surround headset where I can pinpoint, the difference between like 2 o'clock on a clock and 4 o'clock or 2 and 3 o'clock. I can pinpoint that pretty accurately. So to come to a game like this, half the time I'm out in the open, I have literally no idea where the shot's coming from. There's been times where I've popped up behind a tree to find cover, and I end up dying because the guy was behind me the whole time, and I thought he was in front of me. So it's just interesting, but gaining a lot of confidence on the PC and dropping to those areas just game after game after game. I probably played normally over the course of a couple hours you might play 15 games or something. I probably played 35, 40 games over that period just because every time I went into a game I was just getting into a game and shooting a bunch of people and dying. And so as I see right here, I notice I'm really close. I'm like, oh, I'm actually pretty close to the zone. And I should have just stayed the course. But as you'll hear in a second, I actually hear some cars coming in. So, okay. So, anyway, I'll do my outro, and then I'll talk you through the end part of the game. So, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for watching this video. That's why I pulled my gun out right there, because I heard it. I really appreciate that. Again, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded for a while, but I hope you guys enjoy this kind of content. I've been playing so much of this game, I'll probably bring you more of this game in the near future, because this was absolutely so much fun and incredible. And that is a big gun. That guy was just shooting at me. So then I saw him right there. And you'll see me hit him a few times with the blood splatters. But if you guys like my content, subscribe. Check back soon for another video. And again, I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate all the support from you guys. So there was it. There it was right there. I forgot to reload. I'm in a gunfight. So here, I don't know what happened here. I think this guy did a real tactical move. Because I thought he was in the driver's seat, but it doesn't look like there's anyone in the driver's seat. So I was like, okay, well, I guess he's out of there. And I start sprinting up here, and I die from the back. So I don't really know what happened there. But that's it. So, see you guys soon. Check back later.